So now, Kwan, we are recording. And this means it already was, but this becomes for officially telepathic. This is not psychic. Psychic is way down the lower worlds. That's easy stuff to play with and get caught in it and get trapped by it. This is not psychic. It doesn't deal with positive and negative opposites at all. It deals with an energy that is master over them. This image means, in Chinese, the yin and the yang, white teardrop, black teardrops circling, or fishes circling around each other, surrounded by another energy, so they stay in harmony. This is the way we're meant to imagine the lower worlds, and we've all lost a lot of that ability. So we're gaining it back. The ability to be telepath, to have a photographic memory, is one of the first basic things people from other worlds have available. Elon Musk has a photographic memory. He was gifted to be born in just by random in a family where he inherited that. But most people don't have those genes or that ability open in them on Earth. It's been shut down deliberately. Or people are afraid to access it, more accurately. In some people, it's just wide open. They may not be open in other areas of their life, but it's open in that respect. It means everything they see and hear, they remember, so they're very good at business, very good at everything, because they can keep it all remembered, organized. This is different from most people. So part of what we're recovering on these journeys is the ability to know and remember more. A lot more. You don't get this kind of training or preparation on Earth from anywhere else. It's just not on Earth yet. So it has to be introduced by someone or some group off-world first, somewhere, in order for it to begin to be brought to Earth. So this is what we're doing. And when you close your eyes, you do know that you're shutting off the input from Earth's atmosphere and all the things around you. They simply turn off, which is why people get such rest from putting the body to sleep at night, because they are not home. They're not in it. They go out and get recharged and they come back, but in an unconscious way. So it doesn't really help them advance or wake up while they're alive in one particular lifetime or another. Most people believe in something and they're happy with that. Believe in it till you die, then you find it out when you go to heaven or something. That isn't the way the higher worlds work at all. That's a complete dishonest deception. The higher worlds don't bring people to be co-creators there who are spoiled little brats who will not change, who decide believing in something's better than actually knowing it. There's nothing better than knowing something. That's where mastery comes into it. We're supposed to be masters. We were masters long ago. Why not get it back? Why not get it back where we can never lose it again? This is where the hue expansion ray comes into this, Kwan. Because it just does. It did not get originated on this planet by any knucklehead down here. It didn't even get originated in the Milky Way galaxy by the Galactic Alliance. The Say rays, including Turelian, did not originate the hue expansion ray. A new consciousness moving through the omnipresent one power, the hue, first sound behind creation. That was created in the upper worlds above the void, tested by Satnam, and now it's underway. So this work represents a change in the way the entire lower dimensions of time and space are being run. If we want to be free beings, we have to assume our responsibility in two ways. One, we have to get up the courage to accept the responsibility that as an individual Atma, we all created this terrible mess down here. Not just on Earth, but in the whole lower dimensions. All the traps and all the illusions and all the sidetracks and all the Maya, good and bad, thinking and opposites and all that stuff. We have to retire what's called a subconscious mind, or anything subconscious, because it means it's something you're not aware of and people can manipulate that. So we want to get the subconscious brought conscious so that we're responsible again for our actions. So the one thing is to accept that we're responsible for the conditions we abhor. And if we want to change them, it's not about paying some god off and paying for sin or paying for karma. That's an illusion. That's Maya or Maya. It's an illusion. There's nobody up there in the upper worlds demanding we pay for anything. There's only one thing that's required. We must assume responsibility for being a trustworthy co-creator with Source. We are meant to be custodians and caretakers of animals and plants and beings and planets and galaxies and stars and doorways because we're capable of it. The silent mentors are beings like us but much more evolved. They run the mechanics of the entire creation. Normally they do have no association or interrelationship with master teachers or beings like us. They're too busy all the time to interrelate with a bunch of knuckleheads everywhere. No. So for the most part, they've never interacted with beings, not even masters. This is changing for the first time. First of all, even the Galactic Alliance, they knew there were silent mentors, but they didn't meet any in the last 500,000 years. None of them showed up to say, hi, we're here. And they weren't traveling above the void, even though their worlds are paradises compared to Earth, for sure. Now they're traveling above the void with us because they can. What's important is they become more aware of the upper worlds because as free as they are without subconscious minds, they can then help us more swiftly, more accurately, and more completely if they're willing to help us. We're meant to take care of younger races and younger species, just like the Galactic Alliance should be doing, and wasn't for the most part. When Turellians showed up on Zetanami 1, this all changed. Just changed, right on the spot. Such beings there were capable of receiving that change instantly, because they didn't have subconscious minds anyway. So bingo zingo, there they are. You know, and that book that he opened just sent an energy through them that just fixed them all. They were already all right. It's just that they got them more motivated to be responsible for the rest of creation. Not just sit back in their own little glorious heavenly worlds and let other planets blow up. That's cowardly, actually. Let's just say they got over their cowardness and that they didn't have much of that, but they got over whatever that was. So when we meet with Turellian, what he represents is a central focal point for these journeys. He doesn't have a physical body. He's more like a silent mentor than a master teacher. But he's also a master teacher. He's got a blend. Kind of. The kind of things that are happening with beings in the Hue Expansionary Academy, meeting with them, is a destiny. We're meant to be a blend of silent mentor and master teacher. Sooner or later, this cross between these two races, these two Atma types, had to come together to fix things, or the universe, the creation, could not change. So this takes place there. Shantiel and Tonaltiel are obviously standing behind you. There are other couples behind Pari and myself, simply for our benefit to keep any negative stuff turned off. Not, primary implant reviews and all that, that's one thing, but this is everything else that's subconscious, that has any negative overtones in hundreds of billions of years of our existence in all the bodies in the lower planes. So they keep that turned off when we go on these journeys, because we cannot take any negative nature whatsoever or subconscious anything with us into the void or higher than the void. The void prevents that. It is a barrier. No one can take any lower world negative and positive stuff up there. We're meant to return leaving that behind. It's like taking your physical body and putting it on a hanger in a special room, and taking your emotional body and putting it on a hanger, and the causal and the mental and the etheric body, and just putting them to sleep, all of them at once, so that we can journey home as a whole, spherical, proper being. So they're standing behind you. You know what they look like. It's been described many times. And you're near the ceiling, projecting a beautiful, perfectly flawlessly angelic, beautiful female body form, about 36. The woman to your right and the man to your left are both presenting to you about 36 years old, 6 feet tall, perfectly handsome, perfectly beautiful forms, because their physical bodies that these energy forms represent are immortalized. That's normal, though. It means the telomeres on the DNA they have, 4-stranded, do not shrink when cells divide. normal. That's normal. People on earth are not. So, fear is what guides most people's lives until they pass away. And then they take that fear with them. And then that manifests the next place they go, which is right where fear reigns, back down on earth or somewhere else. So we're neutralizing all of the false beliefs and brainwashing we've been subjected to, or that we did to ourselves through ignorance over billions of years, and we're putting it aside. Just putting it aside, which we have the ability to do once we know we are a spherical energy being. Just knowing that is enough to begin the process. That's as easy as it is. The rest is doubt and fear and things that plague people they grew up with on earth, religious beliefs or whatever else. And I'm not putting down any religions at all, but I am saying that they do not take people into freedom. None of them do. They have to go beyond belief and faith into direct experience to become liberated, godly aware, let's put it, beings. If they aren't aware of the greater God that exists beyond this planet, they are dumber than a pebble on a beach, because they're limited to this silly place like Earth and nothing else. That's pretty far down the scale from what we were. We still are the same thing in source. We're still the knower, we're still co-creators, but we have to recall and remember this to be enlightened. We have to bring that enlightenment down to all the bodies we have, get them working together, and get them helping each other, so they can be responsible in all the dimensions and help change the lower worlds of time and space. That was our original purpose. And we all screwed it up because of the way it was created by all of us together collectively as source. And it was a test. It was like, okay, let's build these lower worlds. They're going to be positive, negative. They're going to have 2 poles of a battery, and we're going to get people. And it was just neat, you know. But over time, everybody got so many beings, most of them, a lot of them got trapped down here. Didn't remember nothing. There are beings that either stayed free all this time, like perhaps Ambassador Turellian or Satnam or something, or they developed into that freedom on other worlds long before us. I think it's the later one. This is actually what happened for most of them. The Seireis would have accomplished this great goal of being co-creators with Source several billion years ago. But they couldn't force anybody in the lower worlds to fix or change anything, because the lower worlds were fixed and finished by the silent mentors. They could not be altered. Which is why the silent mentors had to be involved in a place where they could co-create with master teachers who care about other beings, because they really had no regard for us, nor was it their purpose to have it. They didn't have time to interact with anybody like us. At least this way, we begin to build a bridge. And it takes practical experience with beings like us to be boots on the ground on Earth, through which this new ray will pass. And eventually that 100th monkey theory, that 100th monkey story will come to pass here when we reach enough numbers. I believe that number is 150 million. That's it, out of 8 billion. It's not asking too much of people of Earth to fulfill such a small percentage. That's what we're heading into. The feature film work, the books, the talking books, all this stuff is for that purpose. It's not about money or accumulating things. Nobody can take that with them anyway. At some point, it'll be great pleasure for me if I had billions to simply burn it, give it all up, get rid of it. When it's no longer needed or wanted by people on Earth, it will be gone. And then Earth will be normal. That's what it's going to take. So when they point upward and you find yourself in space, standing out in space in that black void, which you now see as a white golden light everywhere, it's humming. It's got this rumbling, beautiful humming sound. You can just hear it all around you, kind of like soft, gentle humming thunder, a little bit more coarse than just a hum, but beautiful. You can hear a high note of a flute moving through it. That comes from above the void. That's set up before we start the journey. So we're actually starting the journey surrounded by hue that comes from above the void. It has no positive and negative nature. It has a pure positive nature, because there's no negative and positive in it. There's no negative subconscious. There's no negative imagination or fear or doubt or speculation or theory or debate or any of that stuff. Atmas are knowers, just like the source itself. We're meant to come back to deliver our unique character, unique nature as an Atma to the source, and simply blend into it so that it picks up what we've experienced, because it's from that source changes the lower worlds. And it's taken several 100 billion years just to begin that process. To actually change creation from this habit-ridden nonsense everybody's stuck in down here. It's absurd. It's worse than absurd. People aren't supposed to live on a planet dumber than a brick and running around bumping into each other and not remember how they got here. That's not God's will, okay? There's no God out there doing that except tyrants who love that kind of thing. Tyrants like you to worship them. Put them on a pedestal. That's ego out of control. That's vanity. Master teachers don't do that. They wouldn't tolerate you doing that to them, because they know your potential is ultimately the same as theirs, right? Of course. So they wouldn't do it. Satnam would never do it. Turlian would never do it. I would never do it. Pari would never do it. We're not going to put ourselves on some pedestal for people to worship, like a personality cult or some nonsense like that. No. We're functioning as normal beings to help others recover. That's what we're doing. It's not about money or fame or fortune or any of that stuff. It's great. I could be rich. I could be Academy Awards for films and all that, sure. But I'd be putting them on a shelf, and there'd be Satnam and all these other beings I'd be respecting for the accomplishment. Not just me. Oh, no. Never. Because we don't do anything of any value on an interplanetary and a galactic scale alone. That's impossible. There are some beings on Earth very wealthy and very highly placed politically that are getting help right now. No need to mention names, they're probably known. So their motivations of why they're doing what they're doing is changing within them. They're not going about it the same old way. To bring new technology that is extraterrestrial related and implement it and give it to people on Earth. Electric cars are just the beginning. Now it's being jumped from electric cars to water cars. Water breaking down into oxygen, hydrogen, burning. Water vapor comes out the tailpipe and it drives a car much longer distance than a charge in a battery. Elon Musk is already heading in that direction. He didn't invent it, any of this, but he had the ability to buy it or get the copyrights and then put people to work and actually bring it out to the public. And he'd probably have government support in this case. So I'm looking forward to some real change here coming up. That was not done by themselves. They were helped. They're being helped. This work helps them behind the scenes. It just does. When you're around Turelian, he always shows us an 18-foot tall body. Perfectly handsome. Looks like a Greek god to me. Long blonde hair to his shoulders and big blue eyes, bigger than a human. He looks like a Greek god, about 36. 18 feet tall is really tall. That's more than 2.5 times the height of the tallest basketball player. And he's just showing us a pure energy form that's dressed. He's got this gown on. He's bare feet. He's got his closed fist with his 2 thumbs up. There's a white golden light around it. It's coming from above him, through him. And then he's creating this shell around us, like the hull of a spaceship that's transparent. It's a golden white light. It's the hue. But it's a brighter hue than what's in space. That's the same thing, but vibrating on a lower frequency to support the physical universe. That area out in space that is so vast that all these billions of little galaxies float in far apart from each other, that is what people call divine spirit without knowing it. It's right there. You can reach out and touch it in the atmosphere of Earth. It's omnipresent. It's a one living power, and we are comprised as Atmas of the exact same power. But we didn't come into existence or have our existence from anywhere in the lower worlds of time and space. And we weren't brought into existence looking like human beings with 2 arms and 2 legs. They got that all brainwashed wrong on Earth. We're spherical. This is why planet Earth and suns and moons and stars are round. They're round because they're made in the image of their creators. Duh. I mean, it's so right in front of us, so common sense. One of the unique things that has been done in this work, which you know about here in space, standing in front of Turellian, is that this image on the Emerald Doorway book shows you what you really look like. That's a first for this planet, for sure. As a matter of fact, this is now familiar to the Galactic Alliance people because of this work, which was developed above the void and brought here. So I hope everybody understands that, and if they don't, it won't matter because they'll get it eventually anyway. I'm sure many people think that I'm doing this for some personal gain or being wealthy or, misdirecting people or something like that, or silliness. That's just their fears. It has nothing to do with me or why I'm doing it. If they knew even a small fraction of what I had to go through in this lifetime alone to do this, they would never question this work again, ever. Stand one day in my shoes and it would be known to you. Be no problem. It's good when we go on these journeys. So I'm standing a little bit opposite Earth in this circle. Pari's to my left. You're to my right. And Master Opelum is standing next to you, near you. This is a beautiful being. Long, silken black hair to his shoulders, emerald green eyes, blue skin, pale blue, beautiful ivory skin. Galactic Alliance uniform on, just to tell you that Oceanians are part of it. But they're beyond and evolved beyond the Galactic Alliance, by the way. This being helped sponsor it and bring it into existence, bringing together 450 million plus spacefaring world systems over 500,000 years ago. And that's just half the galaxy. The other half is the Xeontronamus race. And these two are working intimately in harmony with each other now. So there ain't no reptilians or greys or any tyrants that have a ghost of a chance of doing anything but changing now. This is underway. That's why when I sell it to people, and it comes from this work originally and first, there are no reptilians in bases underground on Earth. None. There are no greys abducting people. That quit 25 years ago, 26 years ago. It's over. They were removed. That's why there's no new stories of gray abductions. Just everybody talking about what happened 25 years ago. And those people need to be brought up to present time, or they're still peddling fear. Nazis in Antarctica with reptilians and stuff like that. At one time, maybe, not now. Because they were removed, but not by people on Earth, not by classified Space Force or anybody else. This was a gift for people of Earth. Or we'd all be dead now. No question about it. Nuclear war wouldn't have been enough. They'd just have reptilians take this place over and eat half the population, enslave the rest, and kill off everybody but 500 million. See, that was their plan. World War II was their plan. This is highly classified. I'm telling you the truth. That didn't just happen on this Earth by accident. It was extraterrestrial influenced. For crying out loud. And they've kept this secret for all this time. So out here in the hue, when truth is divulged to you, it's sent through you telepathically and wakes it up in you so you cannot forget it. When you come back to Earth, you just simply know now. Knowing is easy. Doubting and fear is difficult and hard. That slows everything down, puts blocks in people's way, makes them fear anything they know is true and doubt themselves. Without the removal of these secondary implants and then looking into the primary implant and making it conscious, then no one's going to make any progress on this Earth. Worth a darn? Not worth a bit. Subconscious influences have to become conscious or neutralized or gone for the higher energies to work through us safely, through our nervous system. These bodies, just as they are with two strands, need to at least have the genomes that are turned off turned back on. Photographic memory should be available to humans even with two-stranded DNA. So what's wrong? Why don't people have this? I never did. On Earth, when I get out of my body, yes, more than photographic memory, far beyond it. I'm capable of comprehending the grand multidimensional creation. And all I do is let that come through me and rub off on people because I know they're capable of it too. They are. We all are. It doesn't matter what anybody believes or thinks or how they've been brainwashed, how many times they've been killed and eaten and stuffed in bodies on whatever worlds. It doesn't matter. Because what's underway now cannot be reversed by anything in the lower planes of time and space. Not by anything or anyone. You don't want to go up against a silent mentor. They're more powerful than what people think God is. Each one of them. There's no fooling around with them. They don't play games. They don't tolerate silliness at all. And we're working in part with them. Above Tyrellian is Etta and Din, hovering there with their beautiful little tails glowing. Wonderful master teachers. I love them beyond what I can describe. I adore those two. They aren't humans. They're silica-based. They can levitate in their bodies back in Ocean and fly through the air or on Earth's atmosphere. They could fly around us on Earth. Come up and greet you and shake your hand with a thumb and 4 fingers. And they don't look like humans. They're not like a salamander, not like a reptilian. They're just unique. You can see an image of how cute they are from looking at Etta in the Emerald Doorway book. He's illustrated in it. Like that. So I met them 100,000 years ago, and these master teachers, which they are now, are here. Just because they want to help out. What else are they going to do? The bodies they're showing us are non-nuclear, non-molecular bodies made of energy. It's a projection from the white core of the Atma hovering above them, just like Tyrellian, just like you, just like Pari, just like me, just like Ramu, who's on the other side away from Tyrellian, by Earth, further around away from where Pari is. And Yontal is a master teacher. He's got a body. He's millions of years old. And he's down here helping. Light C is up above Etta and Din. And then up above them is Satnam. No spaceships here. They're not needed. So Shantiel and Tumultiel have their bodies asleep in a lounge chair aboard the Emerald Star Cruiser. And they're going with us on this journey, simply doing a kind service so effortless for them to keep any of your subconscious problems turned off for this journey. So when you bring back pure energy from above the void, it's going to change you. It's going to change you. It's nature now to do that. And it's your nature to accept this and co-create it. Allow it to run through you. Because it will do great things for you while it comes through you for the benefit of others. And you don't have to think about it. You don't have to effort it. You don't have to wonder if it's happening. You just know it is, so it comes through you. It's like this is how we serve to earn our wings, so to speak. And up above Etta and Din, Satnam is standing there. Up above him is a vortex, a white golden light, very bright. The narrow center like an hourglass where sand would run through the middle of it. You turn it over and it's kind of like that. And there's a blue-green energy radiating around it. It's made of elements of the 5 lower planes, etheric, mental, causal, astral, and physical. The portal is designed to put one tunnel through those and bypass all the stuff. Even the Purushas that run those planes are not involved with this vortex. Not at all. This is under the command of people like Satnam, the Source, and Agam Purusha, and the Silent Mentors. And there is no being in the lower worlds that can mess with this. They wouldn't even try because they are not allowed to even approach it. It's very simple. Satnam has command over the beings who run the lower worlds. And he's unfortunately allowed this to go on where there's so much sadistic and evil and nastiness that's treated people with each other, animals and plants, and it's treated with disrespect, and just everything is wrong on Earth. It's not. We can't blame people on Earth for really not knowing. They're too afraid to. So we got to get them over that. So out here in space, Up above by Satnam, with his 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms and his bronze-colored skin. You know, he looks like he's 36 from India, but you can tell by his face. It's wrinkle-free, but he's ageless. And he's got this white tunic dress on from his waist down to his bare ankles, just standing there with his hands open. And to each side of them are 2 couples, alternating male, female, to each side of them, wearing a different colored gown, pastel, of colors from a spectrum, like blue, green, yellow, orange, or whatever. They represent different channels of the omnipresent power that these beings work with. They have long hair to their shoulders. Their hair color is different for each one of them. The skin color is different for each one of them. The gowns or these full-length robes, whatever, look the same, but of a different color. One single color. Their face is a bright golden white light with no facial features. Looks like it's a head, but in the shape of a head of light. And when you look into it, you see all these levels of galaxies, each brighter than the other as it goes up through these planes. It's how they think. It's how they see creation. And above them is the Atma. They are 4 times bigger than us. Twice as many teardrop layers. Brilliant. These guys are not, normally do not even appear in front of people in the lower worlds. I mean, they could be a bottle cap on a table, a plant next to your window. They could be a butterfly flying by you, a hummingbird. They can take any form to carry out any mission in any place in the entire grand multidimensional creation and be at one point and clear across the creation in the next instant with no limitations whatsoever in any form they choose to carry out a mission. And people and beings aren't even aware they're there. So we want to go and rub shoulders with such beings as much as we can. Not just them. Master teachers like Ramu and Opelam and Etta and Dan and Torellian and Yontal and millions of others, really. These are beings who are already free in the sense of what people could ever conceive of freedom. So we need their help, obviously. When they're normal and awaken to their true purpose, which they've just gone through recently, then they're motivated to help. This is why you see these 2 couples of silent mentors up there. They don't have to come down here and stand below Ramu, or Satnam rather, and then go with us through that portal. They just escort us. It's just a gift, really. None of these beings are motivated by the baubles of nonsense people are locked into and trapped by on Earth. They don't use money. They don't have banks. No police forces, no military. They're way beyond this. We originally were like that. So we need to return to it. Still run our bodies on Earth and do what we do. Have a family, whatever. But doing it awake as an Atma is altogether different than doing it unconsciously, wondering what soul is and that we think we're a body. That's a terrible program. People are suffering in this way. They realize the body's going to grow old and drop out from under them. And they're all confused and puzzled about the whole thing. And since they can't find answers, they attach themselves to a belief or a faith. And they're perfectly happy to wait till they die to go to some heaven. But that isn't the real nature of the worlds where they think they're going. They don't accept people permanently in such places that are irresponsible, childish, unwilling to change, and think it's just going to be given to them for nothing. It is not the way it really works. Not for me, not for anyone. People don't need to believe in God. They need to know what it is. That's why we're going where we go. I'm going to send out the hue. And I'm going to bring it from a high tone to a low tone, and then I'm going to bring it from a low tone to a high tone. Just for you. But I'm not the only one doing it. Torellian is doing it. Eten Din are doing it. Jan Tal's doing it. Light C is here. Shantiel, Tonatiel, Dantiam, Lamtiam, many others from the Galactic Alliance who are considered both masterful in technology and masterful, let's call it spiritually. In the sense that they know who they are and what they're doing, how to help us. Very simple. They are not at all concerned with or interested in anything on Earth or any of its money or any of its governments or any of it. They have no interest in that whatsoever. They cannot be influenced or manipulated or controlled from anybody on Earth for any reason. They have no subconscious minds through which they can be so influenced. So the best thing to do is to respect them. And yourself, too. That last thing beyond the range of human vocal cords connects to the source, prime creator. Many planes above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, many planes above Satnam's realm. And you see this transparent golden white light around us that's brighter than the hue in space, moving upward, following Eten, Din, and Satnam, and these silent mentors up inside this vortex, this interdimensional doorway that has been created from these hues. Put in place, seen, visualized until it manifests. The sound is a high note of a flute pulling us upward. It's actually a white golden light coming through this opening, passing through Satnam, right through Turelian, creating this hall of a light ship, so to speak. It's pure energy. It's just really much higher form of science and understanding than people on Earth know. This creation is beyond the Galactic Alliance, by the way. Quite. This kind of thing cannot be created by their technology in the lower worlds of time and space, as advanced as they are. Turelian, yeah, he knows how to do it. Satnam is certainly involved. I am. Yes. But this is coming from what is being created and implemented above the void. So that's where we're going. And as we move up into this vortex and we realize with a whole group of us in this oval light surrounding us that Turelian's creating, we appear like the size of, say, a button or a penny or a little coin to the size of a dinner plate as we move up through the central section of this. And we can see through this moving golden white light gently revolving around us. We can see levels upon levels, planes, like see astral, 144 levels, and the causal, mental, and etheric. You have a body, Kwan, in the astral plane, living a life there, made of molecules made of the molecular time rate of astral material. It is a much higher frequency than the 144 parallel dimensions of planes that exist in the physical universe. And you go through that, and this body, wherever it is sitting on a beach or laying on a couch with its eyes closed. And you go up into the causal, and you have a body there, different from the one in the astral, different from one in the physical. And it's doing the same thing. And you go up into the mental plane where everything's moved instantly by thought. And you have a life there, millions of years old. And it is sitting by a palace. Things are glowing around you. and it has its eyes closed. The Atma, you are hovering above each of these forms. And you go to the etheric, and you have a body by some crystal transparent palace on one of 80,000 continents on a massive world. And you're standing up with your eyes closed, and your body's transparent with energy centers like chakras glowing. I mean, bodies aren't like lower bodies in the etheric plane. They're quite different. People can mock up a solid-looking form or just be this form. It's a preference. And so that body is aware of the bodies that you have below it, and the ones below you, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, are aware of each other. Because the you expansion ray is seeing to it that they're starting to cooperate. It's moving through them too, not just you on Earth. And we shoot up through the other end of this vortex and find ourselves in a brilliant, but what I describe as a pale blue luminosity everywhere. Just vast. There's nothing here, and you see the vortex below our feet vanish. We're surrounded as far as infinity by this pale blue light. There's nothing here, no buildings, no planets, no suns, no stars. It is pure hue. It has a white golden light behind the blue. You can just see it sparkling there. And we're moving at tremendous speed upward in a spiral. We're following Satnam and these two couples of silent mentors. They're simply moving at tremendous speed upward until we begin to see this white beach, and then it expands and we see that we are approaching a long, diamond-like, luminous beach, brighter than anything in the lower worlds, brighter than 10,000 suns. The Atma perceives this because it sees it as a sphere, not as eyes. And the beach just goes as far as you can see left and right and curves inward, which means this beach, whatever it is surrounding a massive spherical landmass, or circular, how do you call it? And the trees here along this beach in the background are very tall. They look like banana trees and fruit trees and palm trees and flowering plants, and the trunks are transparent. You can see the hue moving up and down in them. The birds hovering above the branches that come out to greet us are about a foot long. They have long V-shaped split tails, rainbow-colored bodies, millions of colors blended perfectly, just gorgeous. Big blue eyes, kind of like a big blue jay. Two sets of bird wings, one over the other, and they flutter there like a hummingbird or a dragonfly and can hover. Back up, go forward, go sideways, and there's a beautiful Atma, more like a silent mentor in a way, hovering above these bird forms. They're telepathic. They have vocal cords. We can hear them singing to us, and their beaks aren't even open. And they open their beaks, and they have these beautiful singing voices like men and women with perfect vocal cords, singing the hue, just humming it. Then you realize that what's coming through them is powering the void. It's adding energy and keeping it in place. Now, these are beings that greet people when they come to Satnam's realm. This is the Atma plane, on the upper end of the void, beyond the limits of the void. We cannot take any kind of lower consciousness body or fear and positive and negative or implants or doubts or forgotten uses of higher faculty. We can't bring any of that here. None of that's allowed to pass beyond the etheric. So those bodies are put in the sleep state, meaning they're all run on automatic. So you, as the single Atma running them, can go on this journey as a whole, complete, spherical being. The sound moves us following Satnam over the beach. We've already collected it in the sand and run it into our system, so we don't need to do that. The birds part, and then we're flowing into the distance. We see a blue stone mountain range. From the lower right to the upper left, it's diagonal but straight across us, so we can see this long mountain range with snow caps. At the base, all these crystal and palatial estates, like one big connected long building. And in the distance, two blue stone, like lapis lazuli with gold lace through it, big pillars holding up a triangular top like a Greek temple. Now there's an entrance. There's these foot-thick quartz steps thousands of them that go up between this opening. They're luminous. Everything here is luminous. You're luminous. Pari's luminous. I'm luminous. Everything here lights up everything, because here, from the void upward, there are no suns, no planets, no moons, no stars. They are unnecessary. Everything here as an atma provides the light that lights this place. And everything here contributes to this, whether they know it or not. Through and inside these pillars is a blue quartz-like polished curve, like a throne chair. No cushions. There's nobody sitting in it. Satnam stands beside it and points to it, and you see a white golden light coming down into it. So you realize this is a kind of a device that represents him. It takes energy from a higher world in through that throne chair and manifests it out into this world. This what do you call it? The Atma plane. And Satnam moves through the triangular opening behind it, and at the base of the mountain is this huge fountain. There's the smaller fountain out in the garden, a few miles from here, coming out of a white marble floor, kind of a stone floor, and concentric circles of 4-foot-high flowering plants, and it's sitting there. It's a statue of Satnam in it, and there's a white golden light coming down to it, so it's a doorway. But we're going to go through the big fountain, because when you look at that fountain with its scalloped edges, it's much larger, like 30 feet across, and the light in it is like a Christmas tree going up to a point, blue and green and gold, moving up and down simultaneously. And surrounding it is a pure white golden light. So it is a doorway. It is two things. It's a transformer that transforms energy from a higher plane, where the Hue Expansion Ray Academy is, or higher, down into it and into Satnam's realm. But it's also a doorway because we can ride the hue that comes through it upward. We are made of it. We can blend into it, we can go into it, and simply go upward. So the whole group of us, Torellian in the center, he still got his 2 thumbs up. We're moving right into it, and then we're shot upward. We hear a sound of like glass chimes being pinged with like a felt mallet, just beautiful little pings. Constant tone. And like a humming. And then we're moved upward. And the next thing we know, we're coming out the other end of this fountain. And now we see we're coming out of an opening. You look down and this vortex closes. We don't see the fountain. We don't see Satnam's realm. We are now in a specially created parallel dimension between the top of the Atma plane, which is very vast, and the beginning of the 6th realm above his realm. And we see this floating landmass, just massive. It has an even brighter diamond-like beach surrounding the outer circumference, 6 snow-covered mountains with blue stone surrounding in the center of this landmass. And there is a blue-green curling luminous wave that's constantly rolling, crashing on the beach, just manifesting. It keeps moving. It surrounds the entire outer circumference of this landmass. It's always moving. It's what's holding this place in place, and silent mentors operate that beach. So understand this. They were involved in co-creating it for the first time ever with master teachers for a purpose. A place like this had to be put in place so beings in the lower worlds could return here and reestablish themselves as co-creators with Source. And then, of course, we go from here all the way to Source itself and blend into it and come back as individuals, as we are, in order to bring back more awareness of why we exist at all. But the Hue Expansion Ray Academy is important because it is here where we can play in these teaching facilities with master teachers and silent mentors alike. Stand between the flow of the Hue from the Source itself that runs through them, and have it run right through us, back and forth. So we get a bit of a taste, a small inkling, rubbing off on us what it is to be a silent mentor and what it is to be a master teacher up here. Because basically what it's telling us is this is our great potential. Silent mentors are our potential. The training you have to go through would stagger you if you knew what you'd had to do to become one of them. But why become one of them if there's billions of them anyway? Why not become something new? A blend of something they have and a blend of a master teacher with the heart to care about worlds and people, and then manifest a new organization of beings that can help run the administrations of the lower planes, help be caretakers and custodians of planets and animals and mammals and everything, seeing them as Atma, seeing and working with them. Galactic Alliance does this on countless worlds. They've been doing that for 500,000 years, more than that. Scientists on those worlds are raised to be far beyond brilliant anything on Earth knows. And they get motivated growing up. There's no money systems. There's no police forces. There's a Galactic Alliance, and they have weaponry on those ships as defensive stuff, but it's not about war. They don't have military industrial complexes. That's not what their science is about. So they grow up motivated to create new ways of doing things for the good of billions, even trillions of beings on countless numbers of world systems. You see, that's normal. Earth has a lot of changing to go through to become accepted as a spacefaring race in that organization. No, people on Earth will not be allowed to take their sadistic, fear-ridden, abusive nonsense and greed and all that stuff misdirected out in space. The line is drawn in the sand. They cannot become a spacefaring race and play among the stars ever until this world becomes normal first. It is required. As beings, we are required to know the vast life that's in the multidimensional creation, because an Atma coming from Source has the same capability to comprehend this that the Source itself does. That's why when this is moving through you, it's not information, it's telepathic. It's waking this ancient awareness up in you. Because it can, because it does. This is not being regulated or controlled from egos on Earth. Forget that. No. Up here in the Hue Expansionary Academy, when you look at these 6 mountain peaks and we're suddenly hovering above them, you can look down in between them and you see like a donut-shaped blue-green oval lake surrounding a white, smooth, like sand, like an island. And the outer circumference of the island has a blue glass-like tower rising up very high. It has about 2/3 of the way up, has a oval administration area with a fountain in it. Goes to a point. There's a brilliant white golden light coming down into it. In that fountain, it's just a fountain. There's no statue of Satnam because he's just below here. So this fountain feeds one of these main transmission points into the Satnam, into the Atma plane from here. It passes through the Hue Expansionary Academy first. It comes from Purushas and realms above it. It comes from Agam Purusha, who regulates all the power throughout creation. And it comes from the Source. It comes from the Silent Mentors realm above the Source. It comes from the Hue Expansionary plane above that, which is brand new up there, folks. It's a place where a new administration has been being built to run this change without destroying, again, the lower worlds of time and space. That has been done before. People were put back, and after billions of years, we ended up in the same mess. Nothing changed. When you're sitting inside that oval area, it's quite large. You can see right through it in all directions. You can see the roadways going out to the beach, like spokes of a bicycle tire, all the way around the circumference of this place, straight as an arrow, white, beautiful stone, different kinds of forests and trees and clearings and domes and pyramids and things and teaching facilities, down each roadway to the right and to the left, and later to the right and left and so forth. And you get above it and you look at the side of these mountains, and the base is a horseshoe-shaped tunnel, has a glowing polished wall, and the roadway goes inside these tunnels in these mountains. It comes from the hollowed out interior of the Hue Expansionary Academy. And in the interior of that, when we're suddenly there, you see 12 white leather-like chairs facing near the wall, away from the center, which is a shaft of white golden light, another transmission point. And there's a crystal sphere with a blue star in it hovering above the center of it. Tyrellian's hovering in the middle of this beam. I'm hovering in it with him. You can come up there and go right into it if you want. Pari can't. And then come out of it. And then sit in one of those chairs. Have this beautiful, perfect female form you have. Sit in one of those chairs, and it will mold itself around your body. It's very soothing. So we have this energy coming down through Tyrellian, going into this blue star in the sphere. It's being beamed out right through these massive trees that are up against the inside of this oval interior, and silent mentors are standing above each one, alternating male and female, different colored hair, different colored gowns, 12 of them. And above them the Atma. A silent mentor is 4 times larger than us, twice as many layers of teardrop-shaped faculties, much brighter, golden glow around the outside. It's hard to describe them. There's no negative nature in them whatsoever. There never has been. Now here's the thing. As the energy moves down through them, each one of them from above, it moves through us in a circle of beings in these chairs and through the Atma hovering above this body form. Both are being affected simultaneously. The body form will represent a connection to your physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies from here. And then it goes up through Tyrellian and me and Pari and others, and just comes back down, constantly moving, like the sign of infinity, up and down. So we're getting, I don't know what they're doing. It's just that I do. They're helping us to become prototypes. A new kind of being. More evolved than we were in the beginning, in new ways. To administer new things, to change things. Never just for ourselves, but for the entire multidimensional creation. That's what the Hue Expansionary Academy is all about. It is why it exists. It is put together and held together by me and many other beings and held in place responsibly. Because once we create something like this, we're responsible for it forever. The responsibility cannot be shirked or put on someone else's shoulders. We become the custodian or caretaker of such a place, so to speak. You're sitting in this chair, and then you find yourself in a group with this oval golden light around us, around Tyrellian, hovering high above the mountains, looking out over and above, looking at the entire Hue Expansionary Academy. Now out in the distance, out in the ocean of this blue, wondrous light, which isn't water, looks like it, are 12 islands, perfectly round, surrounding the outside of the Hue Expansionary Academy. Each one has a clear, perfect dome, pyramids in it, 3 of them, with quartz caps, golden sides. There are fountains in all of them, and hovering above each one of them, out there, is a couple of silent mentors. 24. They're also inside the hollowed out interior where we are, still. We're up above the mountains, also looking at this. Then you look down on these roadways that come out of these horseshoe-shaped tunnels at the base of the mountains, all the way around the Hue Expansionary Academy. Everything's connected in a huge spherical way, or circular way, to a point in the center. And all of these points, like the domes over the islands, the big tower, the Hue Expansionary Academy Administration Tower, the beam of light going down on the crystal through that tower into the hollowed out interior of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And what's moving through the silent mentors is always moving up and down through these doorways, these interdimensional portals. We're going to the northeastern quadrant of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, out into that quarter of a pie, if you divide it up. And there's a roadway right down the middle of that quarter of a pie to the northeast. It goes 2/3 of the way out the coast and turns left. Is it left? No, it's a right, into a clearing. And in the clearing are 12 silent mentors standing with the different gowns above a tree. It is not the tree in the northwestern quadrant. Those trees are like giant weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped leaves. The trees that are there today, that they stand above, think about why they stand above the branches of trees and all the little needles. They're like pine trees. But they're not pine trees. They're just more beautiful than trees on Earth. They're quite massive, and they're standing on the tops of the points, and above them is the 12 silent mentor spheres, alternating male and female. And we're going down to that sphere that's hovering above the white circular floor, has a blue crystal, like a cobalt blue star in the middle of it, and we're going to move this whole group of us right inside that star. So the whole group of us just shrinks down, and we're now inside this star, and it's radiating this blue energy all around us. And up the center of that star is a white golden shaft, and we're racing up it. We're moving upward collectively, and there's still these two couples of silent mentors that started on the journey. They're with us. There are over 100 master teachers from the Galactic Alliance that teach at the Hue Expansion Ray Academy that have joined us now. And we're moving upward at tremendous speed up this shaft of light until we come out into a realm that is just powerful, fiery, red and yellow and orange and blue and green, just bursting out of the ground, coming out of everywhere, just twisting and turning. It's the raw power of eternity. It is in this place that Agam Purusha dwells. He is a massive being, bigger than a silent mentor. Even more beautiful, I guess. It's more white light. It has color, but it's more subtle. And he's approaching us, and we're just hovering there. We need permission from him to travel into the tree of life to go up to source itself. This is required. You can't get around it. So as he approaches, you're going to see me leave, and Torelli and I are going to both, as Atmas, move right in between the teardrops of this being and then merge into the white core in the center of Agam Purusha. He regulates the raw power of eternity that's brought from the source or prime creator above here, and he distributes it like a transformer into different places in the lower worlds. He's always here, 24/7. They never sleep, they never get tired, they never get fatigued, nothing like that. So obviously we have become friends with him, and we come out of him, and you're each offered, you, Kwan, are offered an opportunity to go inside him, to become friends with this being. The energy he represents is in you and all beings and all the multidimensional creation in the hue. He's like the source behind that. So he's always present with us, waiting for almost an eternity for us to become conscious of him and start to co-create with him. So if you want to become friends with this being, you have the opportunity, respectfully, to go merge in the center of his being. You're safe. Just hear him welcome you, and then you back outside. And then he tells us, look into the distance. In the distance, we see this absolutely gigantic, massive, silver golden tree. Perfectly formed branches, just bigger than a skyscraper. The roots are disappearing into this fiery light. The top of the tree goes beyond visual range. And as we move as a group of beings through the branches, these needles, they pass right through us. And we can see different planets and different galaxies, different places represented in this tree of life, connected from here to all things below here, and it's connected to what's above here. So we merge into the central trunk of this thing, which is an even brighter white golden light roaring up and down in it. The sound here is now like the music of the spheres. It's beyond human description. It's beyond the best orchestras all playing together, the most beautiful melodies that can't be heard on earth. And then we're suddenly in another realm. We come out the other end and we find ourselves looking into an even more vast space. It is like a pale blue luminous light, but it's cobalt blue and much brighter than the void. And in the center, way in the center, is this, looks like a silvery golden galaxy turning on its axis. The only thing that is here. And as we approach it, we realize how vast this is. Each single thing we thought was a star circling a center is an individual being. The space between them is far apart, like stars in space. And we're moving right through them. And they're still moving in a circle around the center. And as we approach inside this circle of beings, there's a void. And in the center of that void is a floating white island. And hovering above it is this huge, spherical, Atma-looking being with millions of layers. And we move in between those teardrops until we come right into the white core. And what we are as all the layers vanishes. We are a white core blended into this white core. We are still individual within it. And then you hear this voice, baritone, with beautiful higher feminine quality around it. Can't be described in human terms. And it welcomes you home again. It's rubbing off on us. This is our home. This is where we came from. And then you recognize, as it tells you to look out into these beings circling the center, and you realize you're one of them. And you never left. The rest is kind of like Maya or illusion, running all these bodies and all these planes below the void. And we're still here. An Atma, the spherical presence made out of the source itself, is a multidimensional capable being. We always have been. This has always been true. There is no negative nature in the Atma, never was any. That's all picked up in the lower planes and programmed into fields of energy like little holograms in the field of energy that surrounds the outside of the Atma, through which we see distorted the true nature of the multidimensional universe and ourselves. That is what needs to be corrected in people, in Atmas, in beings running bodies. And you find yourself on the western beach at the end of the western roadway in the Hugh Expansionary Academy, standing with your toes in that white luminous diamond-like sand, warm and cooling. It's running up your legs. It's some of these diamonds they're like polished diamonds, and they're moving up your legs. This is pure energy, this body form, to the top of your head, smiling. You look up, goes right into the white core of the Atma you are, and then in the white core of your Atma you look down and see the body looking up at itself. They're both you. These are not physical bodies. They're not made of physical matter. They're not from the lower worlds of time and space. And that gets moved out into the core and the different layers of the being you are, and begins to turn on some of these teardrops in each layer. Not all of them, just more of them. Things that you were afraid to do, things that you decided not to know about anymore because maybe you blew up a world 4 billion years ago or something. Before there was even implants, we started losing the ability to know how to get home. So these journeys help to recover that too. Terrellian standing offshore up to his knees in this beautiful blue-green, mostly blue, luminous light that's acting like water, a little darker than the sky, which acts like air, but it's not. And so we go out and surround him as individuals, not in this oval sphere around us like a spaceship. And you see your feet standing up to your knees out in this water. And you can feel a connection to the life that is teeming in that ocean. Forget not just whales and dolphins, anything like that. There's millions of forms of things out there. Atmas hovering above each one. All relevant, all masterful, all helpful. We're going to brush shoulders with some dolphins and whales as we sink beneath the waves. We can see the light above this surface. We can see right through it and see the Hugh Expansion Ray Academy in the distance. And then a couple of big dolphins, a couple of big whales come up to us. And creatures with wings underwater that work like wings in air but for water, with long tails and beautiful eyes, male and female, and they simply greet us. And then an energy streams from them to us and us to them, so they get an experience of what we're like and what they're like. And then we're moving down through like a drain, like a whirling vortex of blue-green light, until we come all the way back down to space and find ourselves coming down through that vortex. And Satnam's still hovering up there. The two couples of silent mentors are there, Etten Din are there, Ramu, Pelham, Turelian, all of us and 100 other master people. And we're looking at the Earth, which changes before us into what Earth looks like in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe, a very real world, unknown to people on Earth. It is known to the Galactic Alliance, however. Their ships can travel here. You see that there is one big continent centered over the equator from the left to the right hemisphere, and right through the planet on the other side, you see another continent centered over the equator, about 2/3 its size. No polar ice caps. The moon orbiting this is a beautiful moon with an atmosphere and clouds and dome cities and little lakes and little rivers, little ocean, turning on its axis, orbiting Earth. It is normal. This has been here forever, and it is a prototype that will be used to superimpose this moon over the dead one we have circling Earth now. That too needs to be corrected for Earth to be normal. The moon is broken, busted, stopped. It does not turn. It just orbits a planet without turning at all, not in any way, which is unnatural. A normal moon circling on its axis, orbiting a planet, would affect the water in your bodies differently than what this moon does. So with that broken moon, people's emotional experiences on Earth are out of balance, for the most part. We master that. And so now you look at down on this world, and you can see down at about a third of the way above the South Pole, an upward curved half-moon base shape of glowing emerald beach. Inland through these beautiful jungle trees, this ocean is a pale blue-green, luminous. It's charged with the hue. And inland, about 2 miles, you can see right from space there is a single snow-covered mountain. There is a waterfall cascading out of an opening 2/3 of the way towards the summit, which means water's coming from inside this mountain, creating a river, quite different than Earth. Flows down between the blue-green forest that surrounds the back of a big dome city on the lower plateau. 3 golden-sided pyramids with quartz caps in the back third, surrounding a ivory-collared low oval building. A semicircular mountain range, just a miniature mountain range. The back half of this huge dome city, with little waterfalls cascading out of cavern openings, blue-green luminous light filling an oval blue-green lake, and then the little white domed ivory-collared dwellings and little pathways between it. You can see this all from space because the Atma is like a telephotic capability. You can just zoom in and see things. Then you find yourself wiggling your toes down on that beach, emerald green sand. Turelian's offshore up to his knees. He's got his 2 thumbs up still. There's a white golden light around it. That higher hue from above the void is still with us. You reach down and pick up a handful of this glowing, round, polished, perfect emerald crystals. This is a gift, a device, brought here by the Zentronamus race, particularly Donantalus and Freshunmuntus from those worlds. A gift to this research facility, this place, because this is a scientific research center inside that dome. Silent mentors, Say-Rays, vast advanced Galactic Alliance scientists, Oceanians, and others work here for many reasons. In the center of a Himalayan mountain range in the middle of that continent is a clearing in these mountains, which is like Shambhala, Shangri-La. It is a place where there's monks up on a mountainside, not a big city or anything like that. And there are ships, there's a landing port there for some pads for ships to come here. It's called Agamdes. It is in the third higher parallel dimension on Earth. Master teachers can come from there to Earth and walk down the street disguised in a suit, and you'd never know it, unless they wanted you to. So these monks will take beings from the Galactic Alliance and do this spiritual thing with them and chant and change them so they can withstand the negative atmosphere of Earth when they go on missions. It's required. That's Agamdas. It's in this same continent where that emerald green beach is, where that dome city is, where that mountain is. And when you look at this, the beach is along this huge continent that covers half the planet. No polar ice caps. The ocean's glowing. You can see different types of beaches over much of it. Gold sands, black sands, emerald sands, ruby red sands, orange sands, green sand, all the way around it, which each serve a specific function. They're types of crystals that are charged, and they do certain things. There are masters who work with these crystals, emeralds and rubies and sapphires and all these gems. But they don't do it for power or psychically or anything. They're responsible for running certain energies through these hundreds of millions of years old crystalline structures, and they still do it on Earth. But you got to remember that on Earth, where you come from, the oceans are depleted. The waterways don't glow. Crystals only work at half mast, kind of, because there's not enough hue in the atmosphere yet. 8 billion people are blocking that. They're supposed to be co-creators of it, but they're not conscious enough to do that anymore. So Earth does not have the kind of energy we need to be an enlightened place yet. But it is increasing. When you find yourself in space around Turelian, looking down on the Earth you're familiar with the polar ice caps, and you find yourself near the ceiling, hovering above your body, with Shantiel and Tontiel still beside you, and they give you a loving smile and vanish. You can see all the way back to the Emerald Star Cruiser stationed at the ice rings around the planet Saturn. They're getting up from these two egg-shaped blue cushioned chairs by an oval blue glass top table and waking up those bodies to show you that's where they came from to go on this journey. They have Galactic Alliance uniforms on. They go about their business. This is how this works. In the bottom middle section of the Emerald Star Cruiser, which you can see standing in a circle around Turelian, is a huge spherical chamber with a pyramid in it. Bright golden light, transparent, quartz top. It is not made of matter. And in the center of it is a fountain with a statue of Satnam, and there's energy coming out his palms, pulsing through the sides of the ship, right through the ship's personnel, and it's going out into space and connecting to a big pyramid stationed between two stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And then it comes to 3 pyramids on Earth. This is how it's done. 2 at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans with a statue of Satnam in it. 1 in a hollowed-out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas, and then it's beamed back to this big pyramid, and then to other pyramids between stars, and to the center of the galaxy, and it goes right up the galactic core. It's not a black hole. Human eyes just can't see it. It's a brilliant white golden light running up the center of the shaft of the galaxy. It flows through us for our benefit, on its way to benefit others, not just people on Earth. And then it goes up this shaft and right back to the source where we came from, and it never stops moving through Agam Purusha. Knowing this, when you open your eyes, you are a co-creative channel with source energy. Not in the future, now. Okay, we're back. You had a very privileged journey because there was only one. But that's not true. There were many others who went on it too. But only one that Pari and I are involved with in guiding, on this journey. Any questions? Kwan, you can turn on your mic.
Thank you very much, Scott and Pari. It is my privilege to be with you at the journey. And for this journey, I can feel that I can connect more with my higher self. And also I feel the joy of a lot of Galactic Alliance personnel going with us to the source.
Yes, they do. I mean, if we don't change things out in space where the problem started, then it can't change for Earth. So this change is preceding Earth's transformation. Has to be done there first, and then just move through naturally through our solar system, through the planet, and with a lot of help from off-world, move into a transformation that people won't see coming. They don't expect it, but it's inevitable at this point. Okay?
Yeah, and for the whole journey, I feel very much grateful to all Galactic Alliance, all Master Being, all Silent Mentor, and everyone, including you and Pari, to take me to be back to the source.
It's our privilege. I mean, that's why we're doing it. Yeah, I know it might seem like what other people are doing, but it isn't. It's quite original and it's unique through this doorway for this planet at this time because it will be expanding. So we've thought about maybe doing something, experimenting a little, and having a journey just for chapter 1 of the Savior's Agenda book. Who knows what would unfold from that, but we could actually explore more the depth of what the hidden truth that's revealed in chapter 1, and then do another journey for chapter 2 and 3 and 4, all the way through 29 chapters. And you know what happens at the end of the book? Transformation. Might as well be part of it. That makes us part of the solution and no longer part of the problem. Any questions? Okay, I'll bring this to a stop.